People deluded. Now, I could be wrong about this, but I do believe, again, my maths isn't the best, but within the next, let's just, between now and the start of next season in August, the next 9 months or so, I do think we're going to see a lot of movement in regards to players. Now, it's a weird one because when you look at Torreira, Guendouzi, Xhaka, Maitland-Niles, etc., and the players that have come in, it seems like there's a core base of players. We've got some sort of stability, if you could say that. But when you look at it as a whole, you could say it is a fact. We know we need to bring in some personnel, take us to the next level, and we need to cut loose a lot of players. There's a lot of gaps opening. Like if I'm the manager, just off the top of my head, I think we need a keeper now, excluding Leno. Obviously, I say this because I'm talking about specifically second choice. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but Ospina's never been good, and his highlights are actually just being on the pitch, pretending to be injured. He's never been good. No one can convince me any wiser or any different. He's crap. But he looks to be permanently gone to Napoli, so that's him gone. Cech is an interesting one. Do I think Cech is good enough to be number 2? Yes, until he plays and makes a mistake, but I think he's good enough to be number 2. Will Cech want to accept being a number 2 in what could be his last season as a professional footballer? We have Cech's contracts out of contract in the summer, so talks haven't started and stuff like that. So if Cech leaves, there's question marks over Cech. Martinez, I suppose, could be the second choice, and maybe Matt Macy. But do any of them fill you with any confidence? I think you're lying if you say you do, or if either do. So you could say there's a case. Obviously, we're not saying you need to bring in you need to have David De Gea and Courtois as first and second choices, but a competent keeper needs to be sourced. Obviously, we need a left back. Clearly, we need a centre half, which Unai Emery's alluded to in his press conference. We know we need a winger. We need a midfielder. And a couple other positions. There's even a case, I might shock a lot of people, but I actually think you need a striker. Not in the sense of to replace Aubameyang and Lacazette. I just feel Plan B strikers are going out. I might do a separate video about this, but Plan B strikers are going out of fashion. Maybe it's because players don't accept being subs, but you look at Spurs could definitely deal with it. We could, and Liverpool. Just different players that might be able to give you something different. Like the only Plan B you could say, and he's not even messed like that, is Giroud. I don't feel if Aubameyang and Lacazette, if they're both on the field, or if we've subbed either one onto the field to join the other, if neither are at it, we've got no one that's really going to be a maverick or can really see scoring goals. That could be rectified with a winger, people. Or I just feel that bench needs someone. I feel Eddie Nketiah is in a good position to develop into that and possibly push him to start him. But you get the point, innit, people? You look at Llorente's not working out for him at Spurs. Pacar, Kanté, he's found his feet at Dortmund, but he could have been a good Plan B. You look at Kevin Gamira once upon a time at numerous clubs. There's not really any Plan B strikers like that anymore. But we know we need to fix up at centre half. Now, what we do at centre half is going to confuse me because you look at Mavropanos. What's going to happen with Mavropanos, for example, because he just turned 21. He's had this ongoing injury since the start of the season. He keeps getting pushed back. He's still lacking experience. For every good game he had, like against Man United away, he got sent off against West Ham. So he needs to gain experience. But if we just look at the personnel that's within the club at this moment in time, people, you've got Mavropanos, who obviously I'm speaking about in this vid. There's Mavropanos. Koscielny's coming back. Monreal is only players that are fit, people. Monreal is fit now. Mustafi and Socrates, while suspended, are there. So there's about 4 or 5 people ahead of him. And Unai Emery said he wants to bring in a centre half. So I feel we're going to need to make a decision with Koscielny next season. We're going to need to make a decision with Monreal. We're going to need to even make a decision with Mustafi. Even if we're going to bring someone else in. But what do you do with Mavropanos? He's still very young. I think he's good enough to get games here. But if he's not going to play a realistic amount of games, then what really happens? And then also you've got to factor in Callum Chambers, who returns next season. He signed a new deal, was talked up highly and then farmed out on loan. He is homegrown. Fulham, it's been a bit of a mixed loans period for him and just Fosu Mensah and anyone at the club at the moment in time. He's seen himself play at centre-half, full-back, midfield. Now, he's had poor games in all 3 positions. He's also had good games, most recently in central midfield against Liverpool, Chelsea, and I believe Leicester. But he's not coming back to Arsenal to play as a midfielder. In fact, we don't know what his future holds. So decisions need to be made over a lot of stuff. And then when you factor in the midfield, you're seeing recent reports of Ozil going to Inter Milan. You're seeing movements of bust up. You're seeing Ramsey 1 minute we're positive of him renewing, then he's going, then he's renewing. We need to make decisions. People need to get cut loose. And I think maybe in some, obviously I'm not saying everything's going to be done, but last season was very much damage limitation. We know Wenger was here for time. It was more or less work with what you have in Emery, and it still more or less is that, unless we're going to get deals out here and deals done and stuff like that. But next season is where I think he's going to get to cut more, or the start of next season, summer, is where he's going to get to cut players and kind of mould the team a bit more into his image. It's going to take about 3 or 4 years for him to fully be there, but you can't underestimate what a good preseason can do for you. So, yeah, man. That's all I wanted to say. Decisions need to be made, and I'm especially in regards to Mavropanos. What actually happens with him? Because there's going to be, let's just say we bring in another centre half in January, which Unai Emery has alluded to. So there's mystery centre half, Koscielny, Mustafi, Socrates, Rob Holding, Callum Chambers, Mavropanos. So that's 7, 8 players that realistically, if you're going to play 3 at the back, 3 can play. Realistically, only 2 centre halves can play. I think in the side you need 4 or 5 centre halves. So a decision needs to be made over at least 2 of the 3 names. Socrates has just arrived into the club and is very much just realistically should be a 3rd choice centre half. So I don't feel there's any issue with that. I do think, I said at the start of this year, I think Mustafi's playing for his future. I feel he's had good games, but by the same logic, he's had nervy games. And I do think the right offer might mean he departs the club. But by the same logic, I can see Unai Emery believing in him to a degree. So decisions need to be made over a lot of personnel. Nene, you could say you need him for the squad, but you could also say we need a midfielder who can build play from deep, someone who can, like, we just need a midfielder. We need a creative midfielder. You could say we need a cam. You could say we need a central midfielder who can bring strengths creativity wise and offensively. You could say we need another combative midfielder similar to Torreira. So a lot of decisions need to be made. Obviously, I've already said at the beginning we need a winger. So a lot of decisions are going to have to be made over a lot of personnel. And I do think a lot of stockpiling is going on at this club. And we're really going to need to decide what we're doing, because there's a lot of quantity, but there's not a lot of quality, to be honest with you, in the most respectful way possible that is said. So, yeah, there's not much for me to say on that note. So, people, yeah, what happens with Mavropanos? Is he going to get games this season or not? People, deluded.